You'll find what you'll find when there's nothing. Good to see you again, guys. Rod, iDLEWiLD, back in business. Welcome.
Hi.
I actually really enjoyed reading about the sort of the making and the development of this new record, The Remote Part, because it's been an interesting process, hasn't it, since the beginning of 2001 when you guys first started to make this record?
Yeah, it has been. It's
interesting to say the least.
No, it has been interesting. I mean, it was basically in two parts completely. I mean, it was originally the original album that we had planned. It didn't really have, you know, it was started and then it was just stopped, and then we went to America and spent, you know, a good portion of last year just touring there.
Obviously, those early sessions with Stephen Street, you know, when you guys went in to record with him, you must have had a very different idea of what the album was going to sound like, you know what I mean?
Well, we'd written a collection of songs pretty much after we'd finished 100 Broken Windows, and we'd spent a lot of time playing that. So we played those songs, and they were very much in the structure of songs we'd written before. We wrote them and played them live, and then recorded them. And that was what they sounded like. I mean, they didn't sound bad, and they will be released as B-sides or whatever. Sure. But after we'd been to America, and after we'd like just, you know, basically redecided what we wanted to do, kind of reconsidered ourselves slightly. When we came back in the summertime, it was just didn't seem appropriate to be writing those kind of songs.
Bummer.
Yeah. So.
Every face, even the one you saw yesterday, it looks different today. Just everything's changed since yesterday.
Was there kind of a moment of clarity? You know what I mean? When you guys sort of went, oh, actually, this is the kind of record we're going to make now. This is the kind of direction we're going to go musically. This is how we're going to expand upon what we've already developed as a band. La la la. You know?
I think getting back from America, we just thought we weren't completely happy with anything that we'd done, so we just kind of approached
just 'cause
it like
old, mainly?
Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose we've kind of grown out of it, I suppose, to an extent, and also we sort of hired a cottage up in the Highlands just to go and write some songs because we hadn't really written anything for a while, and we just sort of approached it as if we didn't have a record at all, and just kind of started again, really.
I'm flying.
So the category you find in most record stores nowadays. You find this next band in the file marked Scottish Fiction. Are there any songs from the early sessions with Stephen Street that have made it onto the remote part?
One song did, yeah.
What was the track that made it from the sessions?
10 words.
See, it's just, I don't know, there's a little bit of irony to me, because You Held the World in Your Arms sounds like such a Stephen Street produced song. You know, it says with the flourishes and the strings, and it's got, you know, it's got like his sound to me. Yeah. And yet you moved away from him to make a record that sounds like Stephen Street.
I don't know. I tend to think now, having, you know, worked with a few different producers, that it's the band basically. Yeah. And it's the band that, you know, and I think because he was associated with bands that sounded like, you know, could sound like that, they did sound like that. I mean, all credit to him for, we weren't, you know, we were still stuck in a, you know, no string style world where we just didn't think it was on.
God, you went overkill then, didn't you? When you first got the opportunity to work with them.
You have the world in your arms tonight. And what if you had the world in your arms?
It's a really great first single off the record because it really does kind of herald a new, not a new sound, but a development of what you've built on over the years with your previous records. Sounds more confident too. I mean, you sound like you're singing lyrics that are way more direct and to the point.
Yeah, and I also sound like I'm singing in my own voice.
Is it the first time you felt like you've actually had the confidence to sing with the voice that you were given and not trying?
I think the last record it was as well, 100 Broken Windows, it was definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, the
first
two records just sound like, you know, a man having a sort of insecurity, sort of breakdown, you know, like a crisis of confidence.
You wait though, in 10 years you'll go back to those records and go, best records we've ever done. I was in character, look, I was in character from the very start.
But, no, I think that, yeah, I think that this one, it was just, I mean, the sort of boring facts about it was there was just more confidence in everyone, you know, and the way everything was being played and the way we were approaching songs, and just the sort of arrangements and just, you know, like sort of fundamentals like that. At a basic level, people were much more confident about what they were doing.
Brand New delivers more from iDLEWiLD as they prepare to deliver a brand new album. It's called The Remote Part. As we went to production, the Chili Peppers have penciled their new album, music. More Scottish Fiction from the Highlands' finest. On the road with Phantom Plan. Many have tried and failed to win the hand of the great provider. And the one British rock band that did in the last 5 years bit it off. So let's talk a little bit about America? That kind of came from nowhere, didn't it? You weren't expecting a sellout tour, were you?
It was kind of surprising.
I wasn't expecting it to be released, you know.
Well, it was kind of frustrating for a while because for about a year the record had been out in Britain and it hadn't come in America. And we were all really keen to go over there. And then just sort of a surprise bit of press really before Christmas of that year, just saying that it was kind of this album, a really good album that you didn't get to hear.
Was it the Rolling Stone review?
I think it was Spin and then Rolling Stone as well. Yeah. And that just meant that we could go out there and we weren't really expecting anything of it, you know. And we went out there and people had been sort of checking it out on import for about a year. So we were in the kind of almost fortunate position to go out there and have this sort of fan base of people who are really keen to come and see us play.
Had you guys given America any thought at all?
Yeah, well, I mean, since we started our group, I mean, we were the music we grew up listening to, the music that primarily, you know, sort of fueled the sound was American sort of music, and I suppose we have some American sound to us, just the way we kind of approach. So yeah, we've always been keen to go, and we've never really given the opportunity to go properly until this time, and we made the most of it. And because we were basically, the best thing about it, I thought, was the fact that over here people have seen us make loads of mistakes and watched us since we were like 19 years old, as we were talking about earlier, kind of grown into this band. Sure. But in America, they didn't know anything about that, so we were being presented to them with 100 Broken Windows as a band that, you know, like played the songs well.
You can actually play now.
And like people, and like, you know, I suppose they'd never seen us play, but we were pretty impressive to watch. Yeah. So like people, that's why it was kind of word of mouth spread even quicker than it has done previously.
You have the world in your arms tonight. And what if you have the world in your arms? You have the world in your arms tonight. And what if you have the world in your arms tonight?
Check them out this summer at the festivals. If we knew who we were and where we were, then we wouldn't be there. Let's get back to the new album, right? The remote part, and the fact that you guys sort of did it quite quickly in the end, out in the middle of nowhere in this cottage. Sort of fairly drunken sessions, I believe. It involved crack and hookers and stuff like that.
We're just having fun.
It wasn't. It was just because it's actually quite a boring story. It was because of the circumstance.
Perfect, a brand new special. Go ahead.
We couldn't practice in our practice space in Edinburgh, and we had to go somewhere else. And we knew this guy at his house, so we went up there and we spent a wee while there, just like writing songs. And I'm not trying to paint it like Brigadoon, you know, because it doesn't sound like, you know. But it was like it was nice, and obviously we got to know the locals, and some of them were quite accommodating.
There seems to be some kind of isolationist theme to it.
Yeah, it's not so. It can be taken literally, as obviously it was recorded in the middle of nowhere. And that is a lot. I mean, a lot of people are under the sort of, not everyone obviously, but a lot of people are under some kind of illusion that we do actually all live like in the, you know, the sort of middle of like the wilderness, which isn't that true actually. But and also it deals with the fact that the main kind of theme of the record is kind of your identity. And we've never ever intended to be preachy or anything like that, and I don't think we've ever been like that. Because although the songs have a sort of certain thought behind them, they can also be taken quite, you know, you can just listen to the riffs and shake your hair, or you can actually listen to the lyrics if you want to. So. Yeah. So what's the story with this tour, with this UK tour that kicks off? I mean, when this goes out next week, you'll be in the middle of it. How long are you on the road for? It's just 2.5 weeks. Yeah.
Right. So you're looking forward to getting out and play. I mean, I know you did like a kind of warm-up tour, but you're looking forward to doing something now that the album is, you know, complete and everything's ready to go. We played pretty much constantly for 4 years. Yeah. Having 6 months, we've just been recording and writing our record. Yeah. So it does take. That's why we did those Squeed shows, because it was just like I kind of forgotten what I was supposed to do. Like I knew I was supposed to sing, but you know, didn't know what I was supposed to do with my feet. Right. All of a sudden you feel quite self-conscious. Like that was the purpose of that tour, was for me to remember. Next week, the highly anticipated return of Doves.